Have you ever pondered the stark contrast in our world, where a privileged few indulge in recreational space flights and own yachts as large as small villages, while countless others struggle day in and day out for a morsel of food and a sip of clean water? How can such opulence coexist with such poverty? Especially when we can prevent deaths from malaria using $2 bed nets. With cataract surgeries, we can prevent or reverse blindness for as low as $25 per person. Direct cash can lift someone out of poverty for about $480 per year. Yet each year, malaria kills 435,000 people, mostly children. Millions needlessly become blind. And to date, over 700 million people remain in extreme poverty. One of the reasons for this is that the world's $8 to $10 trillion in annual profit goes mostly to those who are wealthy and can afford to invest. But what if profit could go to the least of us, those in most dire need? The 700 million people who live on less than $3 a day are not mere statistics or figures. They are fellow humans who deserve the same consideration, opportunities, and dignity that we often take for granted. Through charities that effectively address problems in the developing world, money can do so much good. Together, we can bridge the gaps that divide us and create a world where opportunities are not dictated by circumstances of birth, but by the inherent worth of each person. However, I'm not here on the TED stage today to persuade you to donate to charities, although to be clear, it would be awesome if you did. I'm here to share an idea that enables you and people all around the world to fund charities without sacrificing anything. This idea is profit for good, businesses with charities in the shareholder or equity position instead of traditional investors. Businesses that work for charities. Newman's Own and Patagonia are two examples. These businesses have an advantage due to what I call charity choice. People would rather buy from and work for businesses where charities get the money. Through profit for good, we can capture a significant portion of the world's $8 to $10 trillion in annual profits using philanthropic funds that already exist. I'll elaborate, but first I'll share how I realize the power of profit for good. I was going to a meetup for effective altruism in Chicago, basically a bunch of nerds trying to figure out how we can do the most good. As a lawyer, I was looking for business. I get a portion of the fees from whatever clients I bring in. So as we munched on vegan snacks and discussed moral philosophy, I made them an offer. From whatever business they brought me in, I would donate 100% of my commission to a charity of their choice. Thousands of dollars to a cause they love at no extra cost by choosing me instead of another attorney. Then a light bulb went off in my head. Every day, people spend billions of dollars on household goods, laundry detergent, ketchup, toothpaste, toilet paper, almost always to the benefit of traditional investors. These investors are doing pretty well. About 90% of U.S. stock held by households is owned by the wealthiest 10% of Americans. I don't begrudge people who are well off, but wouldn't it be better if we could lift 10,000 children out of poverty instead of lifting 1 billionaire into outer space? You see, nothing prevents philanthropists who are already spending their money to solve world problems from multiplying their impact by giving us this choice. I was so excited. Then and there, I realized that profit for good is the key to ending global poverty, saving our environment, and ending factory farming. Imagine you're in the convenience store. You're out of laundry detergent. You're in the aisle with Ride and Oxy. Both bottles have 92 fluid ounces, cost $11.79, and one seems just about as good as the other. But wait a second. In this hypothetical, Ride is owned entirely by a charitable trust benefiting the Against Malaria Foundation. So the profits from your purchase prevent childhood malaria at no extra cost. While donation requires sacrifice for one to fund a charity, choosing Ride detergent, a product you already needed at no extra cost, involves no sacrifice. It's a no-brainer. So Ride, again, in this hypothetical, is an example of a profit for good business, which I define as one in which charities are in over 90% of the shareholder position. Let's look at profit in a normal business context. Investors provide funding to a business in exchange for stock, becoming shareholders. Consumers pay money for goods and services. This money, called revenue, pays costs. Profit is the surplus left after deducting costs from revenue. It's distributed to shareholders as dividends or reinvested in the company for growth. With profit for good businesses, philanthropists provide the initial funding or acquire an existing business, and charities own the stock. And just like in normal companies, shareholders get the profit. But here, those shareholders are charities. That means you can buy what you were already going to and fund charities at no extra cost. Consequently, assuming the people prefer the charitable cause to enriching random shareholders, profit for goods enjoy higher revenues from increased sales, better talent because people would rather work for them, and more favorable business relationships because partners want to fund charities or improve their reputation. I call this advantage charity choice, and it implies more profit. Profit for goods can make whatever business decisions normal companies can too, including reinvestment of profits for growth, and charities will benefit from this growth. Except they should outcompete normal companies because it's hard to compete with, say, a ketchup that not only tastes good, but does good. Let's explore a world where our choices as consumers and philanthropists can change lives, save lives, and shape a better future for all. Let's imagine the Ride company transforming from a normal company into a profit for good. To a traditional investor looking to acquire the company, it might be valued at, say, $100 million. To simplify a bit, a simple exchange of $100 million cash for $100 million stock. Instead, picture a philanthropist stepping in and buying Ride for the Against Malaria Foundation. What happens next? Well, something exciting happens. This philanthropist creates a bonus monetary value by acquiring a company on behalf of a charity. The magnitude of this value from bonus charity choice profit depends on people's awareness of the profit for good model and that a specific business is one. Simply put, when Ride gives people the choice to buy a product they already wanted at no extra cost, but with the added benefit of saving kids from malaria, Ride can capture a significant portion of competitors' sales, thus increasing Ride's stock value, thus multiplying money for the Against Malaria Foundation. It's a win-win. We can save more kids from malaria without spending an extra penny. Let's be clear. I'm not suggesting that the Against Malaria Foundation run a detergent company. Most shareholders in normal businesses don't run the show either. I'm also not suggesting that normal companies with normal shareholders donate all of their profit. That's just a recipe for lawsuits by their shareholders. The key is businesses where charities are the shareholders, not normal businesses in which donations would just be costs. There already exist a number of profit for good companies that work in various sectors all around the world and fund a number of wonderful charities. But as great as these businesses are, profit for goods only represent a minuscule fraction of the world's $8 to $10 trillion in annual profits. They compete with multinationals with tons of money for growth from investors. But we have an opportunity at hand. We have a world of consumers who would rather charities benefit from their purchases and philanthropists who are driven to maximize the value of their donations. We have all we need to save the world. Philanthropists just need to connect the dots and create and acquire businesses under the profit for good model. We are leaving trillions of dollars on the table, allowing hundreds of millions to suffer or die by not leveraging the obvious truth that we the people would rather a starving child get our money than a random investor. Our free market system enables consumers to vote with their dollars, but almost always the only choice on the ballot are anonymous investors. The next step in business evolution is competition on what causes get the profit from our purchases and labor. With a significant portion of our species' profits following the love and decency of us all, we can create a world where all can flourish. Suffering is scarce, and a bright future for generations is ensured. If we put this world on the ballot, together we will buy the change we want to see in the world. So, if any of you happen to know Bill or Melinda Gates, they're not off on an outer space cruise, are they? They have a goal of reaching a world free of malaria, and Profit for Good can make that happen much faster. Just a few moves from pioneers can clue in the rest of the philanthropic community in that Profit for Good is a revolutionary tool for creating engines of well-being and justice for generations to come. As for me and the rest of us without a few billion or even a few million in the bank, we should buy from and through Profit for Goods when we can. The benefit isn't just the direct effect of funding charities. Your purchase also sends an important message and signal to the philanthropists of the world. If you build it, we will come.